Okay, all this is the Prairie Field Services Safety Meeting for the week of September 2nd, 2019. We are we'll have some things to discuss today. I'll have Alan sit down, and he's going to go through the presentation today.
Hey. All right. Well, I want this to be kind of a obviously mandatory stand-down meeting. We had a lot of incidents, issues. I just want to be transparent, share information. I'll try to go through this pretty quick, but I just want everyone kind of paying attention and seeing and make sure we're all on the same page here. So, incidents is the first thing I'm going to talk about. So, as a company, how many of the following incidents from January 1st, so we're just talking 2019, how many product releases you think we've had?
6.
Like 75.
Yeah. Jay, you're close, but the answer is 173.
Damn.
173. So, how many vehicle incidents do you think we've had?
2.
50, 47.
56.
Oh my God.
Now that includes, cattle guards and other incidents. Maybe it includes a couple that are not necessarily our fault. It includes supervisor pickups. It's everything. It's as a company, might include a couple down in Texas. But look at these numbers. 173 product releases, vehicle incidents 56. Injuries. Okay, this makes or breaks us. This is work comp. This is money we have to pay. This is OSHA ratings, our insurance. Injuries this year, 25. Now, that doesn't mean every injury is a recordable injury, but it's still one that we do a report, we submit it to workers' comp. These numbers are ridiculous. And for everybody that wants to sit there and think, well, geez, everybody's concerned when the oil's low, but these are the numbers that get us oil. And as much as I feel like you put management under the microscope when things are bad, these are things, every one of these things almost is a result of a policy violation. I would much rather sit here and have positive meetings and, blow sunshine up everybody's ass, because honestly, those are way better and way more fun. But this stuff is really starting to impact us. And I hate to shotgun it, because I know it's not everybody in the room I trust. It's a small percentage that is hurting us, and a small percentage is having repeated incident after incident. And, it's tough as management to decide, okay, geez, we've got a lot invested in this guy. We care about these people. We preach job security. At which point do we just let somebody go? Because it does affect everybody in this room. Property damage. We've had 32 incidents with property damage, and we've had 10 near misses reported. I'm going to get further into this as I go through the slides. Incidents. Some of these incidents are costly outcomes. When you look at all these figures, it's just monetary loss, is over millions. But just the first year. And not only loss of revenue, there's other lasting issues these incidents cause, right? Customers pay for a service. They expect professionalism. And it's our reputation that hurts. And right now, up until now, Prairie's been the fastest growing company. Everything's good. Obviously, we have a good partner and the customers that buy and support us and the producers that we haul for. We've had our share of problems, but we have a good reputation. I know I've heard other things out there and, people that want to be negative, but for the most part, we're the only company that's promising we pick this oil up within 48 hours. Even in the frickin' winter when it was horrible, we kept up to that and we lived up to it. And now that it's been slow, we've been knocking it out of the park. Very rarely do we have an age load over 24 hours. we're doing a great job if we just get rid of all these incidents. CVSA. So our CVSA score is the rating of our DOT number and how well we conduct our business. With continued out-of-service violation, this caused our score to climb, which in turn has triggered a full-blown DOT audit. This takes many hours to complete with an inspector going all through all our records with a fine-tooth comb. Violations found at this level cause huge fines, as well as hurt our rating as a trucking company. We could be put on probationary status. We could be put out of service. So our customers look at our DOT rating. I promise you, everyone. And what I want to kind of explain to you guys right now so that you understand is every time we do a bid, and this is the stuff that I think that you're fortunate enough to kind of take for granted. But when we do a bid, all these customers go through an entire process where we have to show all our training efforts, and we have to show all our policies, and we have to show everything we do. We have to show our IBMS, and we have to show our FMCSA. We have to show all these things. And lately I've had to submit letters explaining and, defending these numbers and, well, this happened, but here's why. And we've got to start working on this as a team. I'm not saying this as a reprimand. I'm saying this as a plea for help. Okay? Because as much as you guys in this room that do everything right probably want to say, well, fire that guy. A lot of times that guy is you, right? It's a guy who has not had some mistakes, and we think, well, he'll learn from this. I honestly don't know. As the manager, it's a fine line. We have people in this room that have made severe mistakes and had horrible incidents, and we gave them another chance, and they proved a worthy investment, and they've become great drivers. And we've done the same thing with other drivers, and they just kick me in the ass every time, and it doesn't fix it, and then we finally terminate them. And we've got a lot of terminated people out there, people that have quit based on gossip and rumors and false information, and they spread that, and that hurts our reputation. That's where you guys need to defend us. You guys should be singing our praises to the producers. And honestly, if you don't believe in Prairie, then what does that say about you if you're still working here? Like, if I hated Prairie, I wouldn't be working here. And I can promise you guys, every single one of you, I've talked to, some of you tons of times, some of you a few times. I wish I could know each one of you better and talk to you personally. But I guarantee you, anybody that knows me, nobody can say they've ever heard me run down Prairie. They've never heard me say a negative word about my boss. And these are things that we all have to do. We're out there trying to get business, and I'm not trying to sound like a whiny crybaby, but sometimes it feels like management is pretty unappreciated. The work and effort that we go to, we've been traveling all over the place to try to make sure we got volume, not tomorrow, but next year. And when I came into the oil business, it was a month-to-month fight. Most of you guys have been in this way longer than me, and you know that these bids used to be a monthly thing. But now we've built relationships, and we're in a good position, and Prairie does have a good name. But you can't buy into the bullshit when you get out there on site, or some pumper had one bad, incident with one driver, and now they keep bringing that up. Some of these pumpers or producers I talk to, I've heard the same story 50 times, and it's like, okay, but we've done 1,000 good things since then. And I guess what I'm trying to say is you guys need to take some pride in this too. And honestly, don't be offended by that. I realize that 90 to 95% of the people in this room do. I just don't know how to present this message without doing it as a shotgun. I appreciate for those of you that are out there, and I get a ton of compliments. I do. I'm not downplaying that at all. We get a ton of compliments. And, some of you guys, but let's just take, for example, right now, let's take Peak. This is how you need to look at this. Peak has grown and rapidly increasing. 15,000 barrels a day right now, Peak. Yet we've had 2 major incidents in 2 days. And if you think you can't lose a producer, think about if we lost them. How many jobs is that in this room? I don't know how to put it to you any differently because it could happen. But that is probably 17 drivers, which means 17 families affected. That's a lot of volume. And we've got to start looking at it like that. And if it's not you, then watch the person next to you. Are they representing us the right way? Because they're hurting you and they're hurting us. I think we're doing great. We're going the right direction. So I'm not here to, create a bunch of panic. I think that we're going to get busy on the oil again. We have several coming on right now. They're starting to produce good. Dustin and I were in a meeting earlier trying to get the noms where they're beneficial for everybody. So I'm not too concerned about it. Cheyenne is a concern. We're working on trying to grow some things down there. Obviously, if Cheyenne drivers, if they have to come up here and work, that's an option. I think we'll have plenty up here. And that would just be temporary till we get some of these other bids in. I'm just trying to shoot straight with everybody. And then you've got the water side. The water side is growing fast, and a lot of the work we do is service work. It's complicated. The tickets are complicated. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of support staff to stay up on this stuff. The dispatch is different, and it's just constant. We always show these numbers of like 3,000 barrels a day for water. But if you add the service work in and you convert that service work to barrels, we're doing 15,000 barrels a day just on service work. Every day. We've been averaging that for weeks. So I just want to try to share this information with you guys to be transparent. And I guess I just want everyone to feel this sense of urgency. This isn't for me getting down on anybody or trying to be negative. I think there's a lot of good things and we have a lot of potential. I'm just tired of the mistakes. And if you think these mistakes don't come up when we're trying to get new business and keep and retain business, you're wrong. You're taking this shit for granted. It's not going to just keep coming our way if we keep hitting everybody's cattle and cattle guards and backing into stuff and, spilling all over the place. We're better than that. Every single one of these is preventable. Every one of them. Unless it's an accident where we're not at fault, which that's happened as well. So
there's been some shit talking going on with the pumpers and stuff. Is that stuff coming back too, or?
Are you saying you've never heard anything?
I don't see a whole lot of people anymore, to be quite honest with you. So what's that?
And you can't hear.
Yeah, and I can't hear.
No, I'm just wondering though.
I'm glad you asked.
That's what I want to know.
Because here's one thing you bring up. These pumpers will realize who's going to buy into this and feed into it and who's not. And they don't say it to me, obviously. So usually if I hear something, it came from a driver. The driver is relaying information, and I hear a lot of things. I will tell you, just so I'm not giving a wrong message, it's way more dominant good stuff. I get way more feedback that is good. So take that. That's a compliment to the job you're doing. It just takes one person doing one thing stupid or making some comment, and that hurts us. And sometimes I think, do you realize that you're talking to the customer there? Even if it's a pumper, if you have a problem with a pumper, call your supervisor. You don't argue with them. They're the customer. I realize that they can be wrong too. There's just a way that we deal with that. And most of the time, I get information that if it's negative, we look into it. It's not accurate. I will tell you right now, in the last week, I've looked into 3 things that were complaints on our drivers that all 3 of them ended up being not true. And I'm glad that it gets back to me because I can set the record straight with the producer. And so I don't look at it as, that's a negative thing. It gives us the opportunity to present the story right, because I don't believe we're a company that is out there, stealing, doing things wrong, lying on our tickets or anything like that. We've had severe consequences. We've had people lose their job for that. I think we're a straight up integrity type of company with solid drivers. Here's how I would like you to take this. I have so much faith in each one of you that I want you talking to these people. I want you to go out there and present this company and be positive, be outgoing, go out of the way to say something positive. And if you don't believe it, don't do it. But you shouldn't be working here. You shouldn't. And I'm not a guy who's going to, well, if you don't like it, leave. I'm saying that if you're not happy here, then come see us. If it's something I can change, I am always willing to make a change. And I'll give you the reason if I can't make the change. Trust me, I've had this conversation with plenty of people in the room on safety issues and overweight issues. I'll present my side. I understand your side of it. And at the end of the day, I have to make decisions that are best for the company. And you guys have to support it. And I know without question there are places you can go and maybe you can make more money by violating the rules. I don't know. We try to be the best employer around here, but we also have to keep you inside the law and as best as we can and try to make sure we're operating safely because like I just said, that's the only way we sell this. It's the only way we can go to the producers. They want to see our rules. If you think they don't look at that stuff, they go through it with a fine-tooth comb. I spent 2 days, when we were hauling for BP, I spent 2 days down there going through every little thing and function, and they were concerned because our T.R.I.R was too high or our FMCSA was too high, and we had to write letters and present what we're doing to address these things. And we're getting to a point, I'm sick and tired of it. Let's just have good numbers. Let's not have to do that. And you guys can change it. You guys are the company. And yeah, Jay.
So does this go for the same for the owner-operators?
Yeah.
You know, because there's some guys over there that are a joke, too. I mean, I don't know.
No,
this is what I've ran into and what I've seen. It's, a lot of those guys don't give a shit. I mean, I can clean up a Getty box at one place, and I'm usually there the next day or the day after, and fuck, you can't even tell that I even cleaned it. I mean, that's all part of representing our company too, like you said, customer service and stuff like that.
So it's a good point you bring up. I agree with you. Like anything, we have owner operators. Some shine, some are great. I get compliments on them, and some are not doing as good. And we have addressed that. And just so you know, I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. We actually have taken a lot of action, probably more than ever, with owner operators. When the volume was low, we reduced them from 5 days to 4 days. We have addressed some things with the owner operators, but we have some owner operators that are representing us great out there. But to Jay's point, we have actually started to look at them more specifically in following our policies. And one of the changes I just recently made is we took John from the shop and put him over as the owner-operator manager so that it's proactive. We're not just reacting. We're requiring them to have all their equipment checked, up to speed. All the maintenance is going on file as it should. And they'll be audited and everything else just like a prairie driver, held to the same standard as a prairie driver. It does take a little while to get those things going, but it's a concern, and I realize that there's no denying that when I talk FMCSA, owner-operators are a disproportionate amount of our violations. And as a driver, it's not fair to throw every one of them under the bus, but the reality is it is very disproportionate, and that is on us as management, as the shop, and not holding them accountable like we should have. And that has changed, but it is, and it affects us, and it's frustrating. I get it. Some do a great job, and there's some that don't, but definitely disproportionate. In fact, I would say for the amount of the fleet they are, I believe they're 40% of our fleet, and they were 50-some% of our violations. Yeah, Tim.
I've just got a couple of things to bring up, and this has probably been brought to the side, but my mind's on it. I really want to give a positive towards Ross, our night mechanic out there. That guy, every time I turn around, is right there willing to fix something. If anybody deserved more responsibility and more of a pat on the back, what he does right now, he rocks. And I'll tell you what, that guy's there, thick and thin for us through and through. With that said, there's been several things on the DVIRs that I've written up for 8 or 9 months, begging, because I feel that it's a safety issue that's not getting addressed.
What is it?
I've been asking for more lights. It is pitch black on that trailer, and you get the wrong person out there, you're gonna have somebody bump their head, or not know where something's at, or what's that?
You're not gonna have a truck.
I'm just asking for more lights so you can see.
Thought we
You're
addressed
not
this.
gonna have a truck. They're gonna run into something.
There's
That's what
probably
Jay's saying.
DVIRs not being looked at daily and the issues being addressed.
That's exactly true.
Okay. I don't have the answer right now. I know that we just started our process with the DVIR and put some mandatory stuff in after the audit. So hopefully we'll see an improvement. The trucks are not supposed to be leaving the shop without the DVIR addressed. Everything on there. If it's in the shop, it should be addressed. I'm going to go through this just so I'm not keeping everybody, but the TRIR is, this is a big deal to everybody who hires us. So this is total recordable incident rate. And it's a mathematical computation basically that's used. It's used by OSHA, it's used by customers, and basically it's compares you to your company industry standard. So it's not something where we're being compared to office workers, right? We're being compared to other oil field industries, and if that number gets over 1, we're being compared to other average. You're over the average. So this is something that we track, and we want to make sure that we're, going down. And we were at one time, a couple years ago, we were at 0.8, which is pretty good. That means you're below the standard average. So do you have anything to add, David, on TRIR?
Yeah, just it's like our goal 0. The prime score for your total recordable incident rate is 0. And it's per your man hours worked. And ours keeps growing. And our producers look at that when Alan's bidding jobs for us. And they look really hard at that. Then there's another service company that actually got removed off of the location because their rating was too high.
We talk about these things in general terms, and I just want to give you guys some examples. I'm not trying to embarrass anybody or throw anybody under the bus or anything like that if it's you. But we can't keep acting like this doesn't happen, okay? I just talked about Peak and the incidents we've had on Peak. We had 5 barrels spilled. David, what was the root cause of the 5 barrels spilled?
Valve that wasn't closed.
Totally on us. Okay, we had an injury, which thank God our driver is okay, but he went to the hospital by air. Okay, that's pretty serious. And then he spent time in the hospital, and, thank God he's okay. He's going to return to work. But right now, they're thinking that this was a result of gas inhalation or oxygen deprivation, but it happened up on top of the tank. His 4-gas monitor that we just spent $87,000 buying was not turned on. Okay, I get it. And everyone in this room is thinking, it could have been me, because I shouldn't say everybody. But there's a lot of them. I know. I've heard the arguments that it gets annoying, it goes off. But maybe, David, you could touch on the gas monitor a little bit. There's some you can turn off, and there's certain ones you can't, right?
Yeah, on the Dragers, your LELs, we know they go off every time you open a thief hatch. You can hit the OK button, it'll silence that LEL. If the oxygen levels or H2S levels show their face, if your oxygen drops, the oxygen alarm goes off. That is not one you can silence. H2S is the same way. If it hits 10 parts per million, you cannot silence that one. Those two will override anything you've blocked out. So you should pay attention to those. We know the LELs go off. And you know it when you're up there and they're high and you start getting dizzy and having to grab the railing. You should be out of there. But if that O2 level, your oxygen levels drop below 19.5%, you're going to lose consciousness pretty quick because now you're deprived of oxygen and you're probably in a real heavy gas situation. They're smart. They tell you what is going on, but they can't grab you and take you out.
Sometimes you guys, I think, take things personally when the answer is no or we can't provide something. And I don't think you understand how much sometimes we care and management cares. And it's tough doing our job. Sometimes we've had to let people go over these incidents. Sometimes the customer producer requires it. And these things are tough. And we're going to talk about being smart when you go to work. Okay, just recently we followed up with an investigation into illegal drug use. Okay, and quite honestly, we ended up losing a driver out of it. A driver that all of us care a lot about, and it wasn't easy. And I've never seen Kim so torn up over something, and it kills us because we care about you guys. Every one of you guys is not some number to us, and we get to know you, and we care, and stuff like this happens. It's difficult on everybody. But the reason I bring it up, because I'm not here to sit here and talk about disciplinary actions, but we got to learn from this. And you guys need to understand, sometimes there are just lines that there's nothing I can do for you. Because what's the message I'm sending? If I'm going to let this go, if you have spill after spill, what message am I sending to every other driver out there if I don't get rid of you? There's certain things that if you choose to do, it doesn't matter if I freaking love you like my brother, you cannot work here. And I'll do everything in my power to not let that happen. But we got to work as a team, you guys. And I'm not going to beat this up and go deep into detail. These are not things that are anybody's business. But we have to learn from them. And these things can happen to anybody. Okay? Whatever they are. Spills, crashes. I've never... One thing that just baffles me to no end is how many cattle guards we hit and we cut the corner too sharp. Like, I don't even drive a big truck like you, and when I pull a little trailer, I'm taking that corner so freaking wide it's ridiculous. I just don't understand. I've seen some of these cattle guards get taken out like you're driving a freaking Porsche. I don't understand it. And I know you as...
Some of these guys do.
I was just going to say, I know you guys as the drivers are probably more baffled than I am. I don't know if the point is, what's causing it? Is it... Are you just off in some other place? Are you thinking about something else? Because I know you know how to drive a truck.
Going down Cosner and I'm doing 35, 40, and they pass me doing 55. What the hell is that?
Is that our truck?
Throwing our trucks.
Well,
they're getting speed alerts.
So you're asking
Big
what,
deal. They get a speed alert. Who cares? There's one.
You're asking what causes it? Well, if we don't have marker lights on our trailers at night, we can't see where our trailer is at. So you could go as wide as you think you're going as wide as you can, but without being able to see your trailer without marker lights, you can't see how far you can take.
That's a driver. I've been driving for I don't know how long, and I haven't hit a cattle.
I think the
That's your depth perception of where to turn your trailer and know
Well,
the grid.
somebody's hitting them.
I think the biggest issue we're having with all these incidents and spills and whatnot is time. Like, everyone feels really pressured for time because half our time we're not being compensated. We're only making money when we're hauling oil. So we're rush. I haven't had any spills or incidents yet, but I foresee it happening. Because I'm feeling more and more pressure to make more money so I can get by and provide for my family and have kids and do the shit I want to do.
I get the argument, but I also could argue that if you're going to have incidents, you're not going to work here. You know what I mean? So you need to do the job right and safe. And I also don't agree that, I think your philosophy is correct. I just don't agree that trying to go fast is always faster.
Well, yeah, and
It's developing a good process, and you follow the same system every time. You double check. You make sure you didn't leave anything open. You make sure everything's closed, and you drive away.
And then you
but you're looking for the root cause of the issue and the way to solve that.
gotta get to that next stop, man.
So I think that because people are questioning, it's like, how do you slow them down? We know what the cause is. So how do you slow people down? I think you give them.
Well, I think it's part
An
of the
hourly
issue is then
based
we get
compensation.
shunned for dropping loads because we run out
I
of
think you get rid of
time.
all the supplemental pay bull crap, and everyone makes an hourly based pay.
But if
Every
you
day
talk
they
to
go.
Rocky or Rocky, you guys pull more oil than him. Zero violations, no speed alerts, and he's doing it safely, efficiently, in a timely manner, and more than implementing driving.
Listen up, you guys. Sorry. Hey, so we've looked at hourly. We used to be hourly. It honestly doesn't really work. I think we've got a lot of things in place, and we do the best that we can. I get the argument, and you can find pros and cons for it. But overall, we'll try to do. We looked at an hourly thing, and we actually put it on the water side and put it pretty high. And actually, every way we came out, it came out to be a pay cut. And we're trying to do the best we can by our people and make sure that we're competitive. But at some point, the drivers just have to take responsibility. It's like you said, and I appreciate you speaking up. But I'm like, at some point, I have to say, that's unacceptable. If you're more in a hurry to make money than you do care about doing a good job, then that's just our job to weed you out because you're hurting everybody. I know you're not saying that, and there are certainly arguments for hourly. I'm just saying that at the end of the day,
We started out with hourly.
Right,
Not to
we-
cut you off. It
No,
doesn't
we
work.
did.
We had people sitting at the gas station
Yeah.
for an hour. We had them going twice. Screwing off, dropping loads, and sitting there.
like Darcy Johnson once said, I love hourly because I can find every one of my drivers. They're always sitting at the truck stop. So let's look at the water. These are just the numbers I want to cover real quick. It's going great. Water volume last 2 weeks average. The production has been about 3288 barrels, but like I say, when we add in the service work, it comes out to be about 15,000 barrels a day. The Wyoming crude, we've been averaging about 49,000. It's just a little under our old average, but that's climbing back up. I think yesterday we hit 53, 54 almost. So that's climbing back up, and there's still a lot coming on. Texas, they seem like they've climbed up a little bit too. They had a couple bad days, which I think is pulling their average down, but they've been around 5,000 a day. I think I've talked enough. David or Sierra, if you guys want to touch on this at all?
And I think Alan hit on this already on the drug and alcohol stuff he wanted to talk about. We do drug testing from pre-employment randoms, post-incident follow-ups. And one thing we wanted to make clear, and I think he did, is that if you're found to be using drugs or alcohol in the workplace or while on duty, that's zero tolerance. We have to take it that way. It could lead to disciplinary action, which could end up and include termination if possible. So remember that.
That damn purple dragon guard in that location. So what's the excuse for the parking lot?
Yeah.
The fact that we can't even put 5 trucks in the parking lot is crooked.
We want to talk about our safety theme for the month of September is safe driving. Because, school's back in session again for Natrona County. Started a couple weeks ago in Campbell and Converse County. You guys have been watching those. I know some of you guys are way out of bus stop times, but others are. Don't forget about the rural bus stops out there, the stops on the highway. Don't pass them with the signs out.
Do you know when the one for Walker Creek kicks in?
I don't, but I'll find out for you. If you still want to help our troops with,
Times 15, and I didn't see nothing.
if you want to help out with our troops, Kim's got stuff around here with things you can donate to them. She needs that by the end of the day on September 11th, if you'd like to donate anything. And so you all know the Atwood Laura wells. We've geofenced those. They're 20 mile an hour going into any of the Atwood Lars. They are posted out there. Jason brought in all the GPS coordinates of the signs. That's what we have to geofence them. And we're not putting these in. We're putting them in at the request of the landowners. We had lots of snide comments about, well, you're taking my bonus. Why don't you go buy speed limit signs? No, they're out there. Because one of them, when we heard that comment, we pulled the video of his camera, and Jiminy Christmas, right in front of the nose of the truck, there's a 20 mile an hour limit sign. So the producers are putting those in with the landowners.
My question is, where does the 5 mile an hour kick in at Sinclair? Because
At the keypad.
okay, because I've been pulling off the main road going like 5 miles an hour because I didn't want to set it off, and I was like, man, this is really retarded. Like I'm not.
No, it doesn't start until you're in the gate.
Okay.
Because we know you got to clear the highway.
That was my thing. I was wondering. Cause I'm here, I am driving at 5 miles an hour.
But be aware that
Okay.
speed gauge is going to have those up and running tomorrow. And Kim,
For raffle. So what we're gonna do the rifle raffle. If anybody wants a last minute ticket, anybody? You want a last minute ticket? Yeah. Okay, where's your money? It's $5 a piece, 5 for $20. Anybody?
I'll take one.
Just take one? Alright.
LaDonna, I see you sitting back there while they take care of that. You got anything for them?
I don't. No, actually I do. I'm quite in touch Tuesday, and I think I have everybody's done a safety meeting except for maybe 10 people already for the week. And I think that's a record. So make sure you do it next week.
I'm not gonna be responsible for bringing this consent. Anybody else think about that? Alright, so Logan's gonna put his in here and then don't drop it. Is anybody in here not in here that wants to pull the ticket so it's not biased?
Yeah, give it here.
Alright. We got Logan's gonna put his in here really quick. You're killing us with your suspense, Logan.
I know, right? I don't trust you. You'd probably draw mine and then I'd fucking speed everything up like
Good thing I'm calling you.
Do you have one in there?
No.
YNC?
I don't have it.
Alright, Dana's grabbing the lucky one.
Hold it up higher so he has to stand up.
Don't hold it up higher, then you won't reach it.
I thought we said stand up.
Kent Wilson. I'm gonna give it to you. We have to do a little thing saying that we're transferring it to you. Perfect. Michaela donated.
Not a felon, right?
Yeah, you can legally have this, right? Okay, so that's all I have.
Alrighty, we thank you all for coming in today and letting Alan have his time to talk to you. And all of you online, thank you for commenting with your name. I copy this and I will get it to Ashley and Madonna for payroll. I'll look back through some of the questions that Alan had missed, and I'll try to get you some answers on that stuff tomorrow. Thank you all.
I just have to take the number off.